Hey there, it's Coach Tim, Spider Cave Studios, Torrance, California, here for another aha moment for you in the world of marketing. And I would like to open this up with a just kind of throwaway post I did yesterday. I reposted on Facebook a meme that somebody had put up. And it says, you've seen the thing where it has a statement and it has like a colored background, right? It says, I say we close down the national media for 30 days and watch 80% of the world's problems go away. And a lot of people, kind of did the digital high five and commented, liked it, and blah, blah, blah. And I realized that the statement is much deeper than most people recognize. To say that it's just a media, the horrible media, the biased media, whatever side you're on, they're biased against what you believe, right? So I went back in, as I often will, and will curate the statement. I posted this late in the day yesterday, so I didn't have such a articulate, deep thinking going on with me. So I went in this morning and I'm on my first coffee. And so I wrote this. Hopefully you appreciate it. It says, this statement is more profound than what one might think on the surface. We live in an overcommunicated society. Thus, it may seem to some good people that we live in less morality than ever. I've always argued that this notion is ridiculous. I don't recall Genghis Khan rolling through towns, killing and raping the children. But one guy is in a gunfight in Florida, and it gets treated, the story, as if it happened next door. And the collective personalizes it as their own atrocity. And because the so-called news is in competition with you and me on platforms such as this, which is Facebook, they must compete for the attention and, of course, with one another. So they're in competition with you and me and the other corporations that do news. And so this gets leveraged by politicians, no one better than 45, to get attention he otherwise would not like getting. Uh, so if you're in business, your ability to get attention, the attention of AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action family, is being drowned out. And like the news, and a portion of your competition most likely is gone for the lowbrow hyperbolic approach. Your job is to find a way to get attention while the rest of the world throws mud at the wall and at each other. Newly formed habits are emerging right now, while the old ones are being broken down. How are you pivoting? Let me let that lead into uh, the 4D, 5D notion of marketing. The other day I was walking through the house, probably to get another coffee, and my son, who now attends college through his laptop on the couch, and he's got business class being broadcasted. And I hear, and what perks my ears, because I haven't heard this or read this notion in years, is the 4 P's of marketing. 4 P's of, what is it, 4 P's of business or marketing? See, I already forgot. But which I think is product, price, promotion. I'm going to read it off right now. The 4 P's of marketing. It's the marketing mix. Excuse me for I thought I could remember it and I totally went away. It's the 4 P's of marketing is product, price, promotion, and place. Okay, real tough, Tim. Gee whiz. Did real good in school. So the 4 P's of marketing, which made me start thinking about the 4D approach and marketing mix, which, according to Wikipedia, the term marketing mix is a foundation model for businesses historically centered around product, price, marketplace and promotion. It's been defined as a set of marketing tools that the firm uses to pursue its marketing objective in the target market. So, all right, let's get out of boring business school. And how does that help you and me get more business, more leads, more sales? Well, everything, but let me go back to the old days, okay? It was real simple in the old days. And I fought the old days because, I'm sometimes not so flexible. And I came up in the 90s. I've run my digital company going back to the 90s. We're going on, I think, 24 years. So I've seen and have experienced and have a huge historical perspective. And I've recognized how history repeats itself. Old concepts come up with new fancy marketing words like funnel. Uh, and so, what I like to joke about and also position as that most of my competition were in grade school or diapers when I started my company. Uh, so, what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of ways to get from A to B. Years ago, I was in Vegas. I stayed at the Luxor, and I'm not a gambler. I was there for reasons other than gambling, and I was there alone. I was on business, and uh, I remember coming out. I think it was the first time as an adult I had been in Vegas, and I came out and got my taxi, and he goes, "How was your stay, sir?" Nice, cordial guy. I says, "Great, but man, they sure do make it hard to get from my room to get out of that place." And he says, "Well, that's because all roads lead to the casino." Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's profound. All roads lead to the casino. All roads lead to your lead capture. That's all funnels are. When you hear funnels, what's your funnel? And it's all based on if, then that, right? So way back when, in the old days, before the internet, I met a guy who is a professional copywriter, well known in the industry. Professional copywriters can make, 10, 20, $30,000 for writing or more for writing a piece of the or all of the marketing words. I think Leo Costa in my interview had said when he had Jay Abraham, this is a jillion years ago. I'm sure it's way more now, but Jay had him. He charged 15 grand to write the original 17 or 18 page letter that was mailed out. Now, so how do those things work? In the old days, how it would work is they would run. You might remember the old Don Lepre ads, tiny little ads, right? And he would do a classified ad and make an offer, get free report, and then the free report would be a sales letter, which demonstrated the why you need this under the auspice or cover of education. You're learning something. You're learning something in this letter. And then the letter would sell. Buy X, Y, and Z. In the case of Leo, it was buy a book on bodybuilding. And that 18-page letter, I think he said if I recall from the interview, sold something like 1 million copies. That's just insane, right? And he was joking. He goes, "I had checks. This is in the day of people mailing in checks. Even I had checks every day, just piling up in the post office. I mean, that's a great visual, right? And sometimes we lose that visual when we're dealing in digital stuff because there's nothing really tangible. But what the good marketers do is they make their words tangible. So my view, and getting back to 4D, 5D, SEO, digital marketing, is that we can take advantage of the marketing mix available to us that is possibly confusing. So in the beginning of digital, we might have a list. We may have an email list, and that was all we did. We just kept emailing our list, and eventually they would buy. A copywriter, this is pre-internet, that I met to finish out the beginnings. He told me that he started with the classified. So it was the old 3-step: classified, sales letter, report, get free report, and then buy. But he says he got such response that it justified him doing 11 mailings to the same list. So he did the report, and then whoever was left got another letter, follow-up letter, like of 4 or 5 pages, and whoever didn't buy from that got a letter, and all the way to postcards by the 11th touch, to where it wasn't worth doing it anymore. And that's how they would squeeze response and squeeze lists, and then of course that list is good for another offering. And so that was before email and autoresponders and drip campaigns, which eventually became funnel campaigns that we hear used all the time. And it's just marketing words. They're using the marketing mix to what's available to them to put people into a funnel. The first guy marketer that I could think of that actually created systems of if then then that type stuff was this guy named Mark Filsame. I think it's Mark Filsame. And he's one of these, internet marketing guys, and selling promotions all the time. And but his thing would go, okay, they buy, no, okay, then they go to the next one, okay, try this, and they have OTOs, one-time offers, right? Sell and upsell here, then sell and upsell there, and that's the world of information marketing, which you're probably not in, and my stuff really doesn't go too deep into that, other than to incubate lists so that they keep finding you as attractive. But you're not selling a $300 or even $1,000 report or how-to manual. You are selling cosmetic enhancements and real estate and big money types of things, which requires a little bit of a relationship. So the way that I like to explain this is that in the old days there was a crass concept. It's crass now. If you look it up, it's pretty crass around the world. But in the old days, and this is about 6th or 7th grade, that when I lived it, was Happy Days was on television, and Fonzie and Ralph Malph and Richie Cunningham. And there would be moments where Richie Cunningham would come in and he goes, "I've found my thrill," right? And so they go, "Oh, how'd your date go last night?" "I got to second base." I'm not going to explain the bases to you, so if you don't know, then you can imagine. But it ends up in the PG version. It ends up where home base is marriage. So there may be children listening. So you can get the idea. What I like to explain, if you think of marketing like an incubation as the home run model, is most people are trying to go for a home run. They're trying to go for a home run. Take it a little bit crass, they're looking for a one-night stand. And a lot of the promoters out there imply that it almost can be done that way. when in fact, even the online marketing gurus, get rich quick guys, that are trying to sell information or gadgetries or gizmos and shiny objects, they still have quite if they're any good, quite a sophisticated incubation program that goes through steps and to create interest. Remember, attention, interest, desired action. And so most people try to get a home run without ever taking the person out on even a coffee date. And so depending on where you're at in your marketing incubation, the best you could do is have a coffee date, the most appropriate. Good, okay. Now, a referral, I mean, I've had referrals over the years where how much is it? How do I pay? No. You got to understand what I'm providing. I'm not just going to take your money and not have an idea of what you're getting, right? And so that's how good a referral is. So I would always say a referral puts you right to third base. And you might want to go through pre-marriage counseling before you get to home, right? To use that metaphor. To go in on a sales meeting and offer them your book. That'll get you to second or third, right? Right off the bat. You don't have to go through the preliminary stuff. So you get the idea. So 4D and 5D is a way to maximize all of these tools that we have and be able to put our arms around them, because it all mixes together. I've had people call me from being friends on Facebook. That's the instant message, and we start talking, and next thing you know, we're doing SEO for them. Of course, a lot of times people will beat around and without you knowing, they go to your website, they go to your real example, they go to your LinkedIn and then instant message you from LinkedIn. But then later on, you find out they've been in your YouTube, they've been in all kinds of stuff. And so what we need to do is have all these channels correct. I really fought social media and Web 2.0s back in the day, because what it did was good old-fashioned SEO before Google. Yes, I have historical perspective and I have gray hairs. Was pretty simple. It was just a list of websites, and you competed against those and reverse engineered those to get on the top 10. And then along came Google. Was the same story until they bought out the technology that gives us AdWords, which changed the world. And AdWords now tends to always be at the top of the page, and the look of Google has gotten huge, right? It's not just a list of websites and a list of paid websites at the top. We have Google My Business, we have personalized search. Depending on where you're at, you may get a different search result depending on if you're signed in, and your cookies and your history will skew results. Golly, what else? You might see some pictures, you might see some scholarly things. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? That's Google now. And you can go off the main page, and you can go to maps. It's not just 3, it's 10 and maybe 20 and maybe, several pages of maps. You can look at all the images and so forth and so on. Google is just huge, right? Google is in the sky above us. They have satellite tracking, geolocation, which is a large part of their maps and Google My Business algorithm. So my view, and I'm going to give the first example of not my view, but my view is it all starts with SEO. But my daughter, who recently started a social media company during the coronavirus, actually, the day of the first quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it, two deals called her that she had just closed like a few days before, called to cancel. One was an event company, and they kind of figured they wouldn't be doing too many events too soon. So my young daughter was pretty crushed, and I promised her that she would learn, and it'd all turn out well, and it's a great lesson for later on. And anyway, she's picked up business during this lockdown, which is pretty impressive, and was telling me what she was doing for Instagram and how she's reverse engineering and getting views and so forth. And I was quite impressed because I didn't teach her any of that. And so I was going through my preferences in 4D, 5D. Uh, and I'm saying 4D, 5D because I had 4D at one point, and I lost it like a nincompoop on my registry, and someone took it. And so I may go to 5D. I got to figure out a way to use 4D or 5D. So that's why I keep going back and forth. It's exponential is really the idea, and so it goes back to the the multidimensional multidimensionality of this concept goes to the rule of seven and psychological priming. So the rule of seven was back in the old days. Let's pretend we're in the 1950s, and we love sci-fi, right? We are the generation that is going to give birth to Star Trek and these Roddenberry and all these guys that were sci-fi. And my family is just a bunch of dorks, right? My kids walk around in Martian outfits and space guns, and we have little cardboard spaceships in the playroom. You get the idea. So Dad is on the couch, smoking his pipe, reading the Sunday paper. And in the section for movies is this great sci-fi flick called Star Wars. And it's a full page ad. And Dad goes, "Oh man, this looks good. Hey kids, come look at this." And everybody's excited. Attention awareness. Yeah. Uh, and so that's number one. Number two is Dad's out front mowing the lawn after reading, and the next door neighbor comes over. Hey, Tim, have you seen the new Star Wars movie? I know you love sci-fi. Well, golly gee, Tom, no, I haven't, but I just saw the ad. Thanks for telling. Did you like it? And he goes, oh yeah. Tom says he loved it. Loved it. Kids loved it. Right. So that's number two. And so later on, they're heading to church or whatever, and they see a billboard for Star Wars, right? And so forth and so on. And it takes seven touches was the idea that it would take for somebody to be compelled to go buy. Now this is in the 1950s, and when I first learned this concept, I would just, again, making up numbers. I said, well, probably, and this is I was preaching this in 2000, probably 2000 and gosh, what, five? I'm gonna turn this phone off. My apologies. No, 2000 and 2000 actually the 90s. I was preaching this. That's probably 11 touches, right? Uh, God, what is it today? How do you break through? And why I created a meme 10 years ago called ubiquity now. We need to be everywhere. It's ubiquitous. you everywhere. But how can you be? Well, you have to start somewhere. And so the other piece of this is primacy, psychological priming. So if I see you, let's say one time, and then you sell to me, I uh, I may not be, even though I'm interested in that, I may not be convinced on you. But why, if you come as a referral, then the likelihood of the sale happening is much higher because it comes with authority. We call that an authority frame, right? I trust this guy, so I'm going to trust the guy he's sending me to, or gal. So, but priming is much less obvious when it's happening. So a rule of seven, like an ad, is obvious, right? We saw the ad, but I might be just driving by a billboard and never see it, but my subconscious does. That's still a prime, as long as I have an interest in the subject. My desire has been stoked. I just, it takes a lot for people to get off their duff to go do something, especially these days in the busyness that we live. So the 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 primacy, it could be something as simple as seeing a spacesuit. It's kind of related, or the kids coming out in their spacesuits with their little Martian guns. That could get me going, right? It doesn't have to be direct advertising. It could just be something that in my mind is related to my desire. So if you want to see, and it doesn't work quite as well as the movies, but the movie with Will Smith, and golly gee, I think it's called Confidence Man. I could put it in the show notes. Him and Margot Robbie are con men and women, and he uses primacy to scam another gambler out of millions. And so again, it's a little less easy than what they put in the movie, but it's the right idea. We slip constant reminders why it's important to reach out to your customers always, why email, why you want to do the emailing, why you want to do uh, retargeting. So somebody comes from social media, like my daughter might do. They can start from social media and the posts, and then end up at the uh, the website, which gets retargeted, re-advertised back. So when they go into Facebook, they see this person's ads again. They can just do a retarget straight from the likes from their page. So there's lots of ways, and I won't get too deep into that. But think about that's a lot of Rule of Seven, and why I like SEO better. And SEO to me includes Google My Business, because I'm starting from Google, where I believe, and is becoming less and less, but not significantly, in my opinion. I'm biased. I'm an SEO guy. Uh, you tend to want to purchase, you're going to go to Google. I'm not going to Google to buy roofing equipment, to buy paint, right? I'm not going to Facebook to buy that kind of stuff. It's might be a compulsive thing where it's a Friday night and I'm flipping through and I see an ad for pizza, and so I might click the ad and go ahead and advertise there. I can also collect email addresses through these things on Facebook and in Instagram. I could collect uh, phone numbers for SMS texting. Now, Pay attention to the marketing mixes that are the different tools that I'm mentioning. I could create a chat bot right on Facebook so that pizza joint does not have to send them off uh, to the prospect off to their website. They can order right there through a chatbot, right? So the likelihood of me losing them in the transition from Facebook to their site is minimized. And it's a convenience thing and feeds into the compulsivity of the purchase. So think about how you can prime. Now, again, every time you see me, let's just say you're looking for SEO, and you go, oh, this Tim guy's pretty good. So, let me go check him out. Okay, the website looks like a website, but let me go see what he's doing on his social media. Oh yeah, social media is good. Okay, let me go see his reviews on Google My Business, and they look at the reviews. Let me go see what look at all the posts he has on his Google My Business, and you get kind of lost in that. And then you go to the YouTubes, and then you go to, and it's ubiquity now. It's Tim everywhere. SEO Tim everywhere. Coach Tim everywhere. Coach Tim, coach that. Oh, look, and I've built a persona so that I'm not just some dude that you can stick in a box and judge. In fact, I set it up. Marketing is judging, so I set it up so that you can judge me fairly quickly. But it is usually going to be that this guy is more textured than just some hiding behind some offer or some company. It's a real person who does volunteer work and all kinds of cool stuff that for kids and the community and so forth. So it's a deeper relationship that you're going to get, so that there's a trust factor that I've worked hard to create. Why I do these podcasts. I am looking at giving you value and hopefully opening your mind so that you can do better. Because I know when I take on clients, if they don't have their act together, like I have one client who, through this whole lockdown thing, was suffering. And I go, well, you need to be emailing your list. He goes, I don't have a list. I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, can you scrape your list? Names, do you have them? Because he had them on individual document records. So we got a guy to scrape the emails and names, and now we have him in constant contact, and he's emailing his list. How cool is that? So he added one more layer to his marketing mix. He's doing at least, these are the big levers, I think, but he's doing SEO. He's doing Google My Business heavy. He's doing the emailing, I was saying, and he's doing Google Ads. So he has a nice 5D approach. Now, what else can you do? I've mentioned a lot of digital tools. To bring it home, we can also do postcards. We can do postcards and letters and go old school. Because I don't know about you, but I'm lucky to get one letter a day in my mailbox. So the crowdedness is not there. You're not competing with as many messages if you go into an old school mailbox. But to use that as its own, to stand on its own, especially when cold, is ridiculous. You're spitting in the wind. But to do it part of a coordinated effort is going to work better. And to just kind of add it, I think I said it a minute ago, you can do SMS text, you can do ringless voicemail, you can do just straight up get on the phone and call them, or all of the above. So think about that, put it into a sequence, dare I say a funnel, and look at that as a way uh, to sell people, because most people are hiding behind their devices, they're hiding behind their computers, and they're wanting to be delighted. They're wanting to go to the coffee date, and all they're getting are people wanting to get the third base or marriage home run from the get-go. And that is a recipe for just them not hearing you. They're not hearing you because you're not letting them get to know you yet. So, and our job is to let them get to know us. And a lot of times the reason people won't do that in my years of consulting is they're afraid if they really know who I am, they're going to judge me. Well, good. This marketing is, like I said in the interview the other day with David Finale. I said the whole point of marketing and sales is to be judged. It's like speed dating. Get it over with. Judge me, because you're either going to love me or not. So move on so I could talk to the next one, right? Isn't the worst thing in sales is to hear maybe? Well, take maybe out of the equation and take it to yes or no. And the faster you're able to get through that, the more you can make the numbers work in your favor. Hey, this is Coach Tim out. I appreciate the time. We went 36 minutes. There's a lot of nuggets in there. I suggest finding the time to listen to this. This was in many ways a university lecture, and it's deep. So listen to it. Think about it. If you need some guidance, of course, we're here. It's Coach Tim out, Spider Cave Studios, Torrance, California, on a sunny late April day.